It's time for round 3 of the 95 XJ12. Let's get started. For those of you who have not followed along, this is actually a car I bought from Asian Bob not too long ago. It is in very nice condition. If you haven't checked out this series that I've done on this XJ12, there are 2 other videos you can go watch. They're actually very good videos. This is a low mile, 83,000 mile, 1995 Jaguar XJ12, of which there was only 2 years that they were made, 95 to 96, with the 12 cylinder. And then the V12 went away for good with Jaguar. Obviously not with Mercedes or other brands, but with Jaguar it went away. I've slowly been fixing things up, and in round 3 here I have a few more items I have fixed. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. Go ahead and get the bonnet opened. There is our 6-liter V12. In the previous video, I actually tried to do a tune-up and ended up with a spark plug that someone previous had stripped out. I got that repaired. I got the coils and plugs and everything replaced. I was able to clean the hole and everything went well. So that part is behind me. Thankfully, nothing was damaged or where I had to pull the cylinder head off or anything like that. So I got very lucky with that. I'll take this little strip off here, and I want to show you guys something here, what I did. This is a new coolant reservoir. The old one was leaking, and I thought it was just overflow. Maybe it was overfilled. Every time I parked it, there would be little puddles of coolant. What I found out was the seam, actually where they glue it together all the way around, was seeping coolant. Very small amounts that would pile up over time and make puddles. And so I had quite a time finding this new reservoir. I actually went to a company called Jag XJ12. They actually had one in stock. I tried 4 other places, actually called them, and they're like, no, those have been out of production for a long time. You're not going to find those. Well, I did find one and installed it. So that is new old stock. It was in an old box when I got it. So I'm very happy to have that fixed, no more coolant leaks. I also took you guys' recommendation on the throttle bushings and removed the old ones, which were just crumbling. They were just in pieces. Let me show you guys what I did there. You can see right here with this laser, I'm circling it. There's a little bushing there. I actually used silicone and glued it in. I didn't want to take the whole thing apart. I'm lazy. So I took that, pushed it in with some silicone. It's dried. You cannot pull it off if you wanted to. And it's just a little plastic bushing is all it is. I was able to find one that fits perfectly, and it works very well now. I did this side as well, so they both have been done, and if you want to watch, I'll actuate the throttle. No more sloppy throttle linkage anymore. That is totally fixed. So I'll go ahead and put this little trim panel back together and put this strip back on. That is solved now. As with any older car, especially with lower miles, this one's not super low miles, but it's fairly low. You're going to have to drive it and work the bugs out of it. There's going to be little things here or there. And some of the things I'm fixing, I could probably just drive with it that way. It wouldn't really hurt much. But I want this thing to be perfect because it is really that nice of a car. So, on to the next things I fixed. Let's go ahead and get this car up in the air. So I mentioned to you guys I had the rear shocks apart. Thanks, no muffler Newton. Anyways, I got the rear shocks apart and replaced the spring insulators that were basically collapsing. They were deteriorating to literally like a dust. So I'll show you guys I have the new ones installed. They're yellow in color. You can see the top of the spring has brand new yellow foam isolators. They do sell polyurethane ones, but I don't want a squeaky hard ride. This thing is known for its magic carpet ride. I'm not going to delete the magic carpet ride to go with polyurethane. I'm not doing that. The original ones lasted many years. These ones will last many years, so now it's sitting at its proper height. One thing that I noticed when I've been driving around is at about 30-40 miles an hour in the center of the car, there was a very high speed oscillation or a vibration. It's not a wheel out of balance or brake rotors or anything. It was constant with miles per hour, not RPM. It had nothing to do with the engine RPM. As the speed increased, this vibration increased. And I knew right away, after working on many Mercedes and BMWs over the years, it's got to be the drive shaft support bearing. And I was right. Let me show you guys. I've got it apart here. So one thing that I found really cool, I've already got the drive shaft piece out that I need to work with. I didn't have to pull the exhaust and heat shields and everything all down. On a Mercedes especially, you have to pull down so much stuff to get to the drive shaft. But as you can see, this is the forward part of the drive shaft. It's just sitting there right now. I have some orange marks on here. I marked what I call the phase. There's splines inside of there, and if you put it back on in the wrong position, you'll cause another vibration. So that way I know it goes back together the same way. You can see I have the flex disc off and removed. It was just 3 bolts. It really was pretty easy to get this thing out. It wasn't too bad at all. Let's head on over to my parts table. So here's my little parts table. I have the rear section of the drive shaft here on the table. I've actually already removed the old carrier bearing or support bearing. It looks like this when they're new. It's a rubber mounted piece. It has an outside shell of metal and rubber here, and then a nice new bearing in the middle. And it bolts to a plate. And what that does is keeps the drive shaft still in the middle while it's spinning. It's not letting it flop all around. It keeps it stationary even though it's spinning. A support bearing, just like it's called, support. These are very common on a lot of European cars, Mercedes, BMW, Jaguars. There's various different brands and makes that use these. If you ever get a vibration that feels like literally it's in your armrest area, it's very high speed vibration. It's your drive shaft turning really fast. It's not like a tire. It's faster. It's almost like a chair, one of those massaging chairs. It's fast vibration like that. It could be a flex disc, it could be motor mounts or various other things, but 90% of the time I've always found it is the carrier bearing or drive shaft support bearing. You can usually find them, just find your drive shaft, get underneath the car, hopefully on a lift, and go about halfway or 3/4 of the way down from the transmission on the drive shaft, and you'll find something like this bolted to a plate with the drive shaft running through it. And you can wiggle it and see if it's got a lot of play. You can also tell the rubber is really worn. If you look at the distance between the top rubber and the bottom rubber down here, it's sagging really bad compared to the new one. If it's a transmission mount, like I've showed on many videos, you can actually just inspect the transmission mount, make sure it's not torn. You can actually push on the transmission and make sure it's not flopping. If the transmission mount is broken, when you go to accelerate, it'll actually lift the transmission up in the air and change the driveline angle and cause vibrations. On Mercedes especially, you can actually stick your finger in the motor mount. You should not be able to get your finger underneath the rubber isolation bushing there. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the driveline bearing, which, like I said, is 90% of the time is the problem. Here we have the drive shaft, and you can actually see this shiny area with some red grease. That's where the bearing actually sits. On these models, there's actually a bolt and a little U-shaped spacer, or a retaining bracket, I guess you could call it, that sits inside of here. Once I got the bolt out and pulled the little square block out, make sure again to mark your lines so it goes back the same way, and then you pull it apart. Just like that. So you see I have the lines here just to make sure when we go back together it goes back in the same position that it was. Once I pulled the front head of this drive shaft off, I was able to remove, basically it looks like this, remove the old bearing with a press. It was so bad that the bearing actually inside of the rubber bushing, you can see it was just flopping around in there. It ripped the rubber. And I'll shake this thing next to my microphone. You can hear the little bearing pieces inside. They're shot. When I roll it, it's really rough. And like I just showed you, you can literally hear the bearings. Here's the new one. Nothing. Nice new bearing in there. So there was our vibration. We could feel in the armrest right here. Real quickly, I'm going to install this support bearing, actually it's a support assembly, onto this shaft, put it back together real quick and just show you guys what it looks like. I found this is actually just a bracket I found somewhere.
That's a piece off of the bus.
Yes, it actually comes off of our bus, but it fits perfectly onto the bearing. You don't want to push on the outside of the bearing. You could damage the little rollers inside. You want to push the center portion of the bearing. I'll have you just hold it right there.
Are you done pounding on me?
Almost. A little bit more. So now we have the new carrier bearing installed. You can see what it looks like. On the Mercedes, there's a spline section in the center of the drive shaft. You literally just slide it apart. Again, make sure you mark where everything goes back. And the bearing comes off pretty easy. This one you have to unbolt the U-joint from it. So I have my bearing installed, everything went well. All you do is just slide on the U-joint, the forward portion of this back on, just like so. And then we'll put the spacer and the bolt back in, torque it down, and it has a little metal washer that you bend. The U-joint's good. That's pretty much it. And I'll reassemble everything back onto the car, and that will take care of those vibrations. They will be gone. That was really disconcerting to me because it's such a smooth car. I believe it rides better than any Cadillac I've ever been in my life.
Wow, and you've been in a lot of Caddies.
Yes. I personally believe it rides better than a Rolls-Royce. I've ridden in several of those. I believe this thing has those beat. And to have that little vibration constantly, it's like, no, this doesn't jive. I want this fixed. Would it hurt anything to keep driving that way? Probably not. But I wanted it right, so that's how you do a carrier bearing or a drive shaft support. So once I get that back together, like I mentioned, it'll have no vibrations. It'll ride and drive really like it should. I'm getting to the end of having to fix little things on this. They've all been small items. There's not been major rebuilds or anything like that, or any major teardowns. It's just been little things here or there, which I fully expected. There's a few smaller items I still need to fix within the interior and fix the radio. Occasionally it just shuts off. And get those things fixed. That'll be another video, and that'll probably conclude our little series on the green Jag. But I can't wait to get this thing on the road and enjoy it now without the vibrations it had at highway speeds. If you're curious what kind of tools that I use to work on this Jag, or that we use anywhere in the shop, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there is many, many more videos to come. Thanks for watching.